Hi, I'm Zane. Welcome back. The night Lily asked me to be her boyfriend, 10 people were watching us, and not one of them knew it was a lie. Only she and I did. If you saw us that night, you would have sworn we were already together. You would have had no idea that it was the first time she ever really looked me in the eyes and asked for something real. My name is Sam. I am 26 and I live alone in a small one-bedroom apartment on the edge of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The place is nothing special. Old cabinets in the kitchen, a couch that is a little too soft in the middle, a cheap rug I bought on sale, and a window that looks out over the parking lot. It is not fancy, but when I walk in after work and drop my keys on the counter, I know everything in there is mine. For a long time, that felt like enough. I work as an HVAC tech. I fix heaters, air conditioners, and water heaters all over the city. Some days I am in big old houses with wood floors that creak. Other days I am in tiny apartments where the furnace is older than I am. I drive my work truck, crawl into tight spaces, get covered in dust, and feel proud when something broken starts working again because of my hands. It is not a glamorous job, but it is honest, and I am good at it. I grew up with my mom in a small town a couple hours away. My dad left when I was little, so it was just the two of us most of my life. I still call her every week. She always asks if I have met someone nice yet. I always joke around, say no, and change the subject. I had dated a little, but nothing serious. My life was simple. Work. A run at the park when the weather was good. Old rock songs from Springsteen and Tom Petty in the evening. Maybe a beer with friends on the weekend. Quiet. Safe. Predictable. All of that changed at my buddy Mark's birthday. Mark and I met in community college. We used to be close, but life pulled us in different directions. We were still good enough friends for birthdays and group hangs. That night he threw a party at his place in the suburbs. Just 10 or 12 of us in his living room. String lights across the ceiling, a cake on the coffee table, pizza boxes on the counter, a cooler full of beer in the corner. I came straight from a job, still in my work jeans and a plain t-shirt. Mark slapped me on the back, handed me pizza, and pointed me toward the couch. That is when I saw her. Lily. I had seen Lily a few times before at group things. She is friends with Mark's girlfriend. She is 30, a freelance interior designer, and she has that calm kind of beauty that does not need loud clothes or heavy makeup. Long brown hair pulled into a loose ponytail. A soft sweater. Jeans that fit just right. Her face looks serious until she smiles. Then it is like someone switches on the lights inside her. We had never talked much. Just small things. How is work? Can you pass the chips? She always seemed friendly but a little guarded, like she was careful about who she let in. That night she was sitting across the room, drink in hand, listening more than talking. As the night went on and people relaxed, the question started. So, Lily, are you seeing anyone yet? One of the girls leaned in with a teasing smile. You never bring anyone around. Another voice joined in. Any dates lately? Come on, give us something. Lily laughed, but her shoulders tightened. She tried to change the subject, but they pushed again. They thought they were just having fun. They did not see how it pinned her in a corner. I watched from the couch, feeling bad for her, but staying out of it. I know what it feels like when people poke at your love life like it is a game. After a while, the room felt too hot, too loud. I slipped out onto the back porch to get some air. The night was cool, that sharp fall air that smells like leaves and distant smoke. I leaned on the railing and scrolled my phone, pretending I was not hiding. The door creaked open behind me. I turned and saw Lily step outside. She looked tired, but there was relief in her face just to be away from the noise. You okay? I asked. She came to stand beside me at the railing, both hands wrapped around her cup. Yeah, she said with a small sigh. They just would not stop asking who I am dating. I kind of panicked and said I was seeing someone in the group. It worked for about 5 minutes. I could not help smiling. Smart move. So who is the lucky guy? She hesitated, then turned and looked straight at me. There was nervous energy in her eyes, but also a kind of fragile hope. Sam, she said, can you pretend to be my boyfriend for a while? I blinked. Right now? She nodded. Just tonight. Just in there. We go back, act like we are together, and they stop turning my love life into a party game. No drama. No strings. I let out a short laugh and raised an eyebrow. Do we have to kiss too? Her eyes went wide, and she almost choked on her drink. A blush climbed into her cheeks. No, she said quickly, then her voice softened. I mean, only if you want to sell it. I am just asking for a little backup. You seem normal, reliable. The other guys would make it weird later. You would not. She looked away as she said that last part, like asking for help was hard for her. I studied her face for a moment. I could have said no. I could have stayed in my quiet, simple lane. Instead, I heard myself say, all right, I am in, but we need a story. Her shoulders dropped in relief. A small smile tugged at her lips. Okay, she said, thinking fast. We have been seeing each other for about a month. We met through mutual friends at a party. You fixed a broken fan. I almost spilled water on you. You do HVAC. I do interior design. We grabbed coffee. It fit our real lives so well that it almost felt true already. Keep it simple, I said. I can handle simple. When we walked back into the living room, her whole body language shifted. She slipped her arm through mine like she had done it 100 times. Her head tilted toward my shoulder. Her smile was easy, confident. Everyone, she said a little louder, this is Sam, my boyfriend. The one I told you about. A little ripple went through the room. Raised brows. Grins. A few quick looks between friends. Mark's girlfriend lit up. It is about time, someone said. Sit. Tell us everything. We sat on the couch. Lily kept her hand on my arm. I could feel the warmth of her palm through my sleeve. One of the guys leaned forward. So how did you two meet? I took a breath and jumped in. At a party, I said. I was fixing a ceiling fan in the kitchen, and she almost dumped water on my head. I thought I was done for. Lily laughed and rolled her eyes. He is being dramatic. I saved the fan and his hair. We started talking. Then he asked me out for coffee. More questions came. What do you like about him? What about her? We answered in turn, building on the story we had made up on the porch. He shows up, she said. On time, every time. And he listens. That is rare. The words were simple, but they hit me in a strange place. No one had ever said that about me like it mattered. They turned to me. Why Lily? I looked at her, at the way her eyes were bright, but still a little guarded. She knows who she is, I said. She has opinions and does not pretend to be someone else for anybody. That is rare too. The table went quiet for a beat before someone joked about us setting the bar too high. The moment passed. The party moved on. But the air between us had changed. We kept the act going the rest of the night. She leaned into me when she laughed. I brought her a drink when I got one. Our stories matched without effort. It felt less like lying and more like stepping into a life that had been waiting for us. When people finally grabbed their coats and headed out, she slipped her arm from mine at the door. Her cheeks were pink, her eyes softer than I had ever seen them. Thank you, she said quietly. You really saved me. Friends help friends, I said. Even fake ones. She smiled, and for a second it felt like there was more in that look than simple thanks. Then she turned back to say goodbye to the others. That night, as I drove home under the cold Milwaukee sky, I kept replaying the feel of her hand on my arm, the way she leaned into me, the way she said I show up. It was supposed to be a simple favor, a pretend boyfriend for one evening. The next morning, when my phone buzzed with a message from her asking if I could handle one more round as her fake boyfriend at brunch, I should have known the truth. Nothing about this was going to stay simple. Sunday came with clear blue sky and cold air that woke me up the second I stepped outside. I pulled on clean jeans and a better shirt than I usually wore, but not too fancy. On the drive to Brady Street, my stomach did this slow flip that felt way too big for something that was supposed to be fake. The cafe was small and busy, with big windows and little tables packed close together. The smell of coffee and fresh bread wrapped around me when I walked in. I saw Lily right away at a long table in the back with the others. She spotted me and lifted her hand in a quick wave. Her smile was real this time, not just for show. She wore a dark green sweater and jeans, her hair down around her shoulders. She looked relaxed, but I could see the relief in her eyes when I walked over like I had just saved her from something. Hey, I said as I slid into the seat next to her. Hey, you came, she said softly. Of course I said. You promised me food. She laughed, and some of the tension fell off her shoulders. Under the table, her hand brushed my arm, a light squeeze, almost like a quiet thank you. So this is the famous Sam, one of the guys said across the table. We have heard plenty. Good things, Lily added quickly. I played along. I hope she told you I am great at fixing broken fans and carrying heavy grocery bags. They laughed, and just like that I was pulled into their circle. The server came and we ordered pancakes, eggs, toast, coffee, orange juice. The table got loud fast. Voices, clinking plates, people talking over each other. In the middle of all that, Lily kept her body close to mine. Our shoulders touched. Her knee brushed mine. "Tell us again how you two met," one of the women said, leaning forward. "I want the full story." Lily glanced at me. I picked it up like we had practiced it for real. "At a party," I said. "I was being a hero and fixing a ceiling fan. She almost spilled water on my head. I am still not sure if it was an accident." "You are such a liar," Lily said, bumping my shoulder with hers. He nearly crashed into the counter. It was not smooth at all. "Look," I said, "I am good with tools, not with grace." The table laughed again. As we talked, the fake story started to feel less like a script and more like an actual memory. We added small details without even planning it. She joked about how I always text her that I am on my way 10 minutes early. I teased her about how long she took to choose something from the menu. At one point, while she was telling a story about a client who wanted everything in their house painted purple, her hand slid onto my knee under the table. It stayed there, warm and steady. She did not seem to notice it at first. I did. My chest tightened in a way that had nothing to do with acting. I knew right then that this was not just a favor anymore. At least not for me. By the time the check came and people started talking about their afternoon plans, everyone acted like we were just another normal couple. No one teased her about being single. No one pushed. The questions had changed from, "Are you seeing anyone?" to, "When are we all hanging out again?" Outside on the sidewalk, the group split off in different directions. The wind lifted Lily's hair around her face as we stood there. "You are really good at this," she said. "They totally believe it now." "Happy to serve," I said. "Professional fake boyfriend. Very reasonable rates." She looked up at me for a long second. Her eyes searched my face. "Sam," she said quietly, "is this weird for you?" My first instinct was to dodge it, to make a joke. But something about her made it hard to lie. "A little," I said, "but not in a bad way." A small smile pulled at the corner of her mouth. "Same," she whispered. We hugged goodbye. It was not quick and awkward. It was slow and warm. Her head rested for a moment against my chest. I felt her breathe out, like something finally relaxed in her. I drove home with the smell of her shampoo faint on my shirt and a new kind of ache in my chest. After brunch, things did not stop. They grew. The next weekend, she texted, "Group hike up in the hills." They invited us. "Can my backup boyfriend make it?" "Only if there are snacks," I wrote back. We met at the trailhead in worn sneakers and hoodies. The air was crisp. Leaves were turning yellow and red on the trees. The group moved up the path in a noisy bunch, but somehow Lily and I kept drifting to the edge, just the two of us. She talked about a big design job she had landed, turning a boring living room into a reading space. I told her about an ancient furnace I'd seen that week. We made each other laugh. The slope of the trail slowed us down and kept us side by side, shoulder to shoulder. At a narrow part of the path, she slipped her hand into mine. No one was looking. No one asked why. She just did it. My hand closed around hers. It felt like that was exactly where it was supposed to be. Later there was a game night at another friend's apartment. Cards, charades, old songs playing from someone's playlist. We were partners for every game. We guessed each other's clues with almost no words. People groaned and called us unbeatable. "We make a good team," she said as we sat on the floor, our shoulders pressed together. "Yeah," I said. "We do." By then, I was not just playing a role. I was falling. I felt it when she came over to my couch with takeout after a bad day, wearing leggings and an oversized hoodie, hair in a messy bun. I felt it when she sat cross-legged on my floor, ranting about a terrible client, then slowly relaxed until her shoulder rested against mine. I felt it when my living room started to feel wrong without her in it. But there was still this line in my head. Fake. Pretend. Safe words I used to protect myself. One night, after another round of games, we walked out to our cars under the yellow streetlights. The air was cold and soft. Our breath made small clouds between us. We stopped by her car door. It was quiet for a moment. "You ever feel like we are not pretending anymore?" she asked. Her voice was low, careful. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. "Yeah," I said. "I feel that." She studied my face like she was trying to read every thought I had not said out loud. Then she stepped closer. Her hand slid up to my chest. My breath caught. Lily leaned in and kissed me. It was not wild or rushed. It was slow and gentle, her lips warm against mine. For half a second I froze, Then I kissed her back. Every fake story, every shared laugh, every hand on my arm led to that moment. When we pulled apart, our foreheads almost touched. We stood there, breathing a little harder, the world suddenly very quiet. "Good night, Sam," she whispered. "Good night, Lily," I said. I watched her get in her car and drive away. My hands were still shaking when I opened my truck door. On the way home, one thought cut through the noise in my head. Whatever this started as, it was not a game anymore. The morning after that first kiss, my phone buzzed while I was pouring coffee in my tiny kitchen. The sun was barely up, the apartment quiet except for the drip of the coffee maker. It was Lily. "Hope your day is kinder than those boilers you always complain about," her text said. I stared at the screen for a second, waiting for something about the kiss, about how everything felt different now. Nothing. Just a simple, friendly message like any other morning. My chest felt tight in a way I did not want to name. I typed back. "Heading to a cranky furnace right now," I wrote. "If I do not make it, tell people I died a hero." She sent a laughing emoji, then another message. "Deal. Try not to die. I still need fake boyfriend services." That word fake made something twist inside me. I stared at it for a second, then locked my phone and finished my coffee. The days after that fell into a new pattern. On the outside, nothing changed. When we were with the group, we played our roles. Her hand slipped into mine when people were looking. I pulled her chair out. She leaned on my shoulder during movie nights. No one questioned us. To everyone else, we were just a couple who had been together for a while. But when we were alone, the pretending faded. One Tuesday night, she texted, "Bad day. Client nightmare. Can I bring takeout and yell into your couch?" I smiled at my screen. "Door is open," I wrote. "I accept payment in egg rolls." She showed up in leggings and an oversized hoodie, hair in a messy bun, a bag of Chinese takeout in her hands. The smell of garlic and sesame filled the room. We sat cross-legged on the floor, cartons spread out on the coffee table, and she told me about a client who wanted minimal but cozy but bold all at once. By the time the food was half gone, her rant slowed. We ended up leaning back against the couch, shoulders touching. The TV was on some random show with the sound low. The room hummed with that soft quiet that only happens when you feel safe with someone. "You know," she said, staring at the ceiling, "this is my favorite part." "What is?" I asked. "This," she said, "sitting here. Not pretending for anyone. Just you and me." "Yeah," I said. "Mine too." She turned her head toward me. I could see the fear and hope all mixed together in her eyes. I leaned in. She met me halfway. The kiss was slower this time, deeper, like we were both admitting something we had been holding back. Her fingers curled into the back of my neck. My hand slid to her waist. The world shrank down to the feel of her mouth on mine and the warmth of her pressed against my side. After that night, it stopped being a question in my head. We were together. Labels or not, fake or not, whatever anyone else thought, she was my person. It showed up in small ways first. She left a toothbrush in my bathroom, then a pair of slippers by the door. One Sunday morning, she stood in my kitchen wearing one of my old flannel shirts and said, "You know you have no decent coffee mugs, right?" "Hey," I said, "that chipped one has history." She laughed and shook her head. "Then I guess I will just have to fix that." The next week, 2 new mugs appeared in my cabinet. One with a tiny mountain print, one with painted little houses. I never asked which one was mine. Somehow we both just knew. Soon my apartment stopped looking like it belonged to one guy who lived off takeout and old music. Her sketchbooks piled up on the coffee table. Small plants showed up on the windowsill. A sweater of hers hung on the back of a chair. In the mornings, I would head to work while she curled under my blankets. At night, I might show up at her place instead with pizza and a 6-pack. We would sit at her little dining table, her drawing room layouts while I filled out invoices, our knees bumping under the wood. It felt right. It felt like we had been moving toward this for years, even though it had only been months. But under all that calm, something else started to grow in me. Guilt. It was about Mark. Mark and I were not as close as we used to be, but he had been my friend for a long time. Late-night study sessions in community college. Road trips with bad playlists and cheap gas snacks. I had been at his wedding years ago. I had watched his marriage fall apart from the outside. It had been messy and loud and ugly. And the woman sitting on my couch, wearing my flannel and drinking from a mug she had bought, was the same woman he used to wake up next to. Lily and Mark had tried for a long time. Everyone knew that. I also knew I had never asked for details, because I did not want to picture it. Now I could not stop. One night, I sat at my window staring at the parking lot, a beer going warm in my hand. My mind kept going around in circles. Lily stepped out of the bathroom, drying her hair with a towel. She took one look at me and paused. "Where did you go just now?" she asked. I shrugged. "Just thinking." "About what?" she said, coming over to sit beside me on the couch. "About Mark," I said finally. "About you and him. About me and him." She pulled her legs up under her and turned to face me. "You two do not really talk anymore, right?" "Not much," I said. "Birthdays. Random memes once in a while. But he mattered to me once. I keep thinking about his face if he finds out. About what it says about me." She looked down at her hands. Her voice was soft when she spoke. "You know how it was between us," she said. "We tried for a long time. In the end, we were just two people who could not meet in the middle. He wanted someone who fit his path. I wanted someone who really saw me. We broke each other more than we built each other. I am not proud of how messy it got. But it is over, Sam. Really over." She lifted her eyes to mine. "Do you regret this with me?" The question hit hard. I shook my head right away. "No, I do not regret a single thing with you. That is the problem. I want you. I just do not want to feel like I stabbed a friend in the back." She thought for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Then maybe the only way through is to stop hiding," she said. "Tell him." The idea made my stomach twist, but I knew she was right. If I kept acting like this was some small secret, it was going to poison what we had. A few days later, I sat on my couch with my phone in my hand and finally typed the message. "Hey man, coffee this weekend. Need to talk about something important." He replied faster than I expected. "Sure." Usual place. Saturday afternoon, I walked into the same bar we used to waste nights in when we were younger. It smelled like wings and stale beer. Same cracked pool table. Same neon signs buzzing in the corners. Mark stood from a booth and clapped my shoulder when I reached him. "Long time," he said. "Yeah," I said. "Too long. We talked about nothing for a while. Work. The team. Old classmates." My heart pounded harder with every minute. Finally, I set my beer down and took a breath. "I am just going to say it," I said. "I have been seeing Lily." His smile dropped like someone turned off a light. His jaw tightened. "Lily," he repeated. "My ex-wife Lily." I nodded. "We ran into each other by accident first. Then we spent more time together. It was not a plan. It just happened." He let out a short laugh that had no humor in it. "And you thought that was a good idea. You thought going after my ex was fair game." "It was not like that," I said. "It started as a favor. She asked me to pretend to be her boyfriend. And then it grew. I came here because I respect you enough to tell you to your face." He leaned forward, eyes hard. "You respect me," he said. "That is funny, man. You had years. Any girl in the world. And you picked the one I used to wake up next to. You saw me at my worst. You saw what that divorce did to me. And now you want me to sit here and say good luck." I kept my voice low even as my chest burned. "I am not asking you to be happy. I am telling you the truth. I care about her. She cares about me." He stared at me for a long time. The noise of the bar faded into a blur. "You are not the guy I thought you were," he said finally. "If you were, you would have stayed away." He stood up, tossed some cash on the table, and walked out without looking back. I sat there for a long moment with my hands around my beer and a knot in my throat. I had known it could go like that. Knowing did not make it hurt less. On the drive to Lily's place, my phone buzzed. "How did it go?" she texted. "Not good," I wrote back. "Can you come over?" she replied. "Always," I answered. When she opened her apartment door, she did not say a word at first. She just pulled me into her arms. I held her tight, breathing in the soft smell of her shampoo, feeling my heartbeat slow against her chest. "What did he say?" she asked quietly. "That I am not the guy he thought I was," I said. "That if I respected him, I would have stayed away from you." She flinched at that, like the words hit her too. Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back. "You can walk away," she said. "Right now? I would understand. I do not want to be the reason you lose someone from your past." I pulled back enough to see her face. "I am not walking away," I said. "He is my past, Lily. You are my present. And if I am lucky, you are my future. I am done living safe just so no one gets upset." We stood there, breathing the same air, feeling both the pain and the weight of what I had just said. Then she nodded, took my hand, and led me inside. "Then we moved forward," she said. "Together." I did not know what that future would look like. I did not know if Mark would ever speak to me again. All I knew was that I had chosen her, and that choice was about to be tested in ways neither of us could have imagined. After that night with Mark, it felt like a door had closed behind me. It hurt, but when I walked into Lily's apartment and she wrapped her arms around me, I knew which direction I wanted to walk in. Forward. With her. The months that followed were not exciting from the outside, but they felt like the best part of my life so far. Lily started spending more time at my place than at hers. One evening she showed up with a small duffel bag and this crooked little smile on her face. "I brought a few things," she said. "Toothbrush, a couple shirts, some books. I hope that is okay." I laughed and went straight to my closet. I moved some stuff, cleared a drawer, made space without even thinking twice. "Good thing I like you," I said. She stepped closer, slid her arms around my waist, and kissed me slow. "I like you too," she whispered. "A lot." Soon my apartment did not look like the place I moved into years ago. It looked like ours. Her sketchbooks took over the coffee table. Little plants sat on the windowsill. One of her sweaters lived on the back of a chair and never seemed to move. Mornings became our favorite time. I would get up first and start the coffee. She would wander into the kitchen in one of my old flannel shirts, hair messy, eyes half closed. She would sit on the counter while I scrambled eggs or made toast. I would talk about broken heaters and cranky landlords. She would talk about clients and paint colors. It felt like we had been doing it forever, even though it had only been a few months. The big change came on a quiet evening that started like any other. I was on the couch flipping channels after work. She had been in the bathroom for a while. When she came out, her face was pale. She held something small and white in her hand. "Sam," she said, her voice shaking a little. "I think I am pregnant." The world tilted. I stood up too fast. She handed me the test. Two clear lines stared back at me. For a second, I felt like everything in my chest stopped. Then it all started at once, twice as fast as before. I looked at her. Her eyes were full of fear and something else. "Hope, are you okay?" I asked, pulling her into my arms. She nodded against my chest. "Scared," she whispered, "but also kind of happy." "How do you feel?" "Terrified," I said honestly. Then I laughed a little. "And really, really happy." We stood there in the middle of my old living room, holding each other, both scared to death and somehow more sure than ever. From that moment on, our life shifted around a tiny person we had not even seen yet. Doctor visits, vitamins, reading baby books we pretended to understand. She changed her diet. I tried to cook better food. She would lie on the couch and guide my hand over her stomach when the baby kicked. "Feel that," she would say, eyes shining. "That is our kids saying hello." At night we lay in bed and whispered about names. One evening, she rolled onto her side and said, "I like Clara." Simple and bright. I smiled. "Clara Sanders," I said. "I like that." When the day finally came, it was long and brutal and nothing like the easy scenes you see in movies. We were in the hospital for hours. I held her hand, wiped sweat from her forehead, told her she was strong when she said she could not push anymore. Then, suddenly, there she was. Our daughter. Tiny, red, wrinkled, and loud. The nurse laid her on Lily's chest, and the whole world went quiet for me. Lily smiled through tears, whispering hello to our baby girl while I stood beside them, one hand on Lily's shoulder and one on our daughter's back, trying not to cry and failing anyway. We brought Clara home to our small apartment and learned a whole new kind of tired. Nights blurred into days. We took turns rocking her, walking circles through the living room. Sometimes she screamed for what felt like hours. Sometimes she slept on my chest, and I did not move a muscle because I did not want to wake her. Lily was amazing. Gentle, patient, soft. But I could see the dark lines under her eyes. She brushed them off as new mom life. I believed her, until the tired started to look like something heavier. She winced one day and pressed a hand to her chest. Said it was probably nothing. I pushed her to get it checked, just to be safe. The call from the clinic came on a gray afternoon. I was at home with Clara while Lily went to the doctor. When she walked back in, she looked too calm. That scared me more than if she had been crying. "We need to talk," she said. We sat at the table. She took my hand, then let it go, like she did not know what to do with it. "They found a lump," she said. "They think it is breast cancer." My ears rang. I could see her mouth moving, hear words like stage and treatment and chemo, but they sounded far away. All I could really focus on was the fear in her eyes. That night, she broke down in a way I had never seen. She grabbed my shirt and cried into my chest. What if Clara does not remember me? She whispered. What if I do not make it? I held her as tight as I could. We fight, I said. Every day, every way we can. You are not alone in this. I promise. Chemo was worse than I imagined. She was sick and weak. Her hair started falling out in clumps. One day she stood in the bathroom, staring at a handful of hair, tears rolling down her cheeks. I walked in, took one look, and went to grab my clippers. Sit, I said gently. She sat on the closed toilet seat, hands shaking. I shaved her head while she watched in the mirror. When I finished, I set the clippers down and kissed the top of her head. You have never looked more fierce, I said. She laughed through her tears and leaned into me. There were days she snapped at me over small things. Days she did not talk much at all. I never once wanted to leave. I cooked simple food she could keep down. I held her when she got sick. I carried Clara when Lily's arms were too weak. My mom came to stay for a while and helped with the baby. Friends dropped off meals. But most nights it was just the three of us on the couch. Cartoons playing even when Clara was too young to understand. All of us wrapped up in the same tired blanket. Then came skin day. We sat in a cold waiting room, fingers laced together, Clara at home with my mom. When the doctor walked in with a folder and a small smile, my heart tried to climb into my throat. The chemo worked, she said. No sign of the tumor. You are in remission. I closed my eyes and let out a breath I felt like I had been holding for months. Lily covered her face and sobbed, this time from relief. I pulled her against my chest and held on like I would never let go. Life after that was a slow climb back to something like normal. Her strength came back piece by piece. She started taking on small design jobs again. I went back to full days at work, but I never stopped checking in, never stopped looking twice if she said she felt tired. We took Clara to the park, watched her wobble on chubby legs, and chase pigeons. We pushed her on the swings while she laughed so hard she could not breathe. Every checkup was scary, but each clear result gave us a little more room to breathe. One Saturday morning, sunlight filling the kitchen, Clara napping in her crib, I leaned against the counter and watched Lily make pancakes at the stove. Her hair had started to grow back, short and soft, and curling a little around her ears. She turned and caught me staring. What? She asked, smiling. Nothing, I said. Just thinking about that party where you asked me to pretend to be your boyfriend. She laughed and walked over, sliding her arms around my waist. Best fake boyfriend I ever hired, she said. Best decision I ever made, I said. A few months later, we stood in a small park by the river with my mom, a few close friends, and Clara holding a tiny bunch of flowers. We did not want anything huge, just something real. We said simple vows under a tree. No big speeches, just promises to keep showing up and not run when things got hard. That part we already knew we could do. The officiant pronounced us husband and wife. I kissed Lily slow while our daughter clapped her little hands, and someone cheered in the back. That night, after everyone left and Clara was finally asleep, we sat on our old couch, the same one where so much had started. Lily curled against my side, her head on my shoulder. The room was quiet and warm. Remember when I asked you to pretend to be my boyfriend for a while? She said. Yeah, I said, smiling. And I asked if we had to kiss too. She traced small circles on my chest with her fingers. I am glad you said yes, she whispered. So am I said. Because nothing about this is pretend anymore. I looked around our small living room. The baby toys on the floor. The plants on the window. The woman beside me. The little girl sleeping in the next room. She had asked me, once, to be her fake boyfriend in front of 10 people at a small party. Now we were married with a baby. And this life, this love, this family we had built through fear and joy and pain was the realest thing I had ever known.
If you felt good in this story, like, subscribe, and join me in the next one. Thank you.